and it's gonna be all right, and it's gonna be okay. Hey, it's the Urban Therapy with Sun Show. You know, and you know how we do. You know how to go up Saturday morning, up yawning, and I'm feel like a brand new thing is about to spawn when we take the things from the top and we make sure just like the ball drops on the first of the year. But yo, hear me, job out for about an hour and a half. Don't laugh. Well, I'm gonna give y'all something to smile about, and everything is gonna be alright until we out. Everything is gonna be okay, cause that's how we do, cause that's really our way. I play and I stay in the zone, and don't leave me alone. Don't make sure you call me on the phone. Chop it up for a few seconds, take a second to record, a minute to get in it, but I still spin it and make it in our own type of thing. And I'm the king, but I don't mean like the king that sits on the crown or wears the crown, and when I sit down, something like my throne. But when I came, listen, just check it out, right? It's the Urban Therapy with Sun Show, and today we talking about same hood, different view. Same hood, different view. So you know how like some people grow up around the way, and they have like this really, really rosy perspective of how the hood is. They talk about how roses grow in the cement, and how although we grew up with modest means and we didn't really have a lot of money, the hood was the place to be. That's where you'll find the most talent and the most progressive people that you'll ever find. And you hear other people that grew up in the hood and they talk about nothing but how bad it is, how bad it still is, how it was, and how they never got the things that they wanted when they were growing up, and how they would never subject their children to growing up around the way where they grew up, and they're going to make sure that they move out to the birds, yeah, and everything is going to be okay. Listen, hey. So that's what we're talking about tonight. Today on the Urban Therapy with Sun Show. I'm your host, Sun752, and you know how we do. Yes. So let's get this thing popping, y'all, and it's going to be nice. Same hood, different view. What do we do? How come I don't see the shit in the same way as you? Because we had different dads, but we still gonna get mad at the same thing. When I watch the news, we see a totally different view of the place where we both grew up and we both were raised. And I say that it's like a maze and a ball of confusion, but I'm gonna say this thing: we win and not losing. So that's how it's going down. Urban Therapy with Sun752, and this is the Urban Therapy with Sun Show. We do this every Saturday morning from 11 a.m. till around 12:30-ish. And the reason that we say 12:30-ish is because sometimes it gets so heated that we just have to do a little OT on a Saturday. And it is Saturday, baby. And everything is going to be all right. And everything is going to be all right. Think it won't. Urban Therapy with Sun Show, y'all. So, this is the show where adults come out and play with other adults. We laugh, we cry, we argue, fuss, and fight, go back and forth with each other, busting up all crazy. We play on the monkey bars and on the swings and in the sandbox on the merry-go-round, push each other up the sliding board. We take an introspective look into our own personality to see how the universe projects us into this thing called the world and this thing called life. We try to figure it out. I am your host, Sun752, aka Omar with the and if you can't say Omar with the well, then you just say Omar with the R. This is the Urban Therapy with Sun Show. Same hood, different view. What do you know? What's going on? Emily Dunlap in the house. I said it, Emily. Auntie Carrie Wright, morning, noon, and night. It's always great to have my peoples going right in your sight. And my brother from another mother, Norris Hill. Sit back, relax, do your thing, max and chill. Thanks for coming on through. Thanks for coming on out. And thanks for all of y'all for helping out. Word. So different, same hood, different view. Do y'all understand the concept of what we talk about this morning? You know, I grew up in a place called Germantown, Philadelphia. And I'm very thankful for the place that I grew up. It's all I really know growing up. And for the first 19 years of my life, it was where I grew up. You know, me and my family have never moved. I have never moved from one house to another in my family. We grew up in the same house. I think my sisters may have moved a time or two when they were very young, But other than that, over 50 years, we have been in the same crib. So we've watched the neighborhood start off from one look to another look, where there used to be all these trees and greenery. It was just a beautiful place to live. It was a beautiful street to live on. When I was a very very young child, and to me it still is beautiful. It just doesn't look the same. Cosmetically, it just doesn't look the same. All of those trees, they tore up the cement, and many of those trees are gone. But one thing about our neighborhood that you have to take notice of is that it was an all-white neighborhood in the beginning, an all-white middle class type of neighborhood, working class. I guess uh, if you're going to say working class, you're probably talking about middle class, because everything is middle class if you're not rich and you're not poor. But we had these big 3-story houses that we grew up in, and many of the houses must have gone on sale for some type of, there was something that was going on that made the houses on my street and around my neighborhood affordable to people who would not have otherwise been able to afford them. So people from North Philly, where all of the black people lived at, came up to Germantown and moved around my way. Big families, mama and daddy, families of 8 children or more, moved around the way, and those houses would accommodate everyone to have just about their own room. No, well, they weren't 8. Well, yeah, in my mom's house, it's 8 bedrooms. If you flip it right, let's see, 2 on the first floor, 2 on the second floor. Really? Yeah. All right. Let's just do it the way hers is configured. 2 on the first, 1 on the second, 3 on the third. It really should be. It really probably should be none on the second floor. I'm sorry. There should be none on the first floor. That's where the kitchen should be, but my mom's kitchen is on the second floor. Yeah, she decided. It's a long story behind that. But anyway, there should be 3 bedrooms. It should be a 6-bedroom house, but it's really a 7 for us, the way we did ours. So with that being said, with people who really couldn't afford to, who wouldn't have been able to afford to come and live where we live, being able to afford to come live where we live, we had a variety of personalities and jobs and careers and education and perspectives. So some people who lived around our way would tell you, like, yeah, I grew up in beautiful Pulaski Town, Germantown, where people was getting it, and there was this and there was that, there was commerce, there was stores around the corner. We didn't really have to go out of the neighborhood to get stuff. That's the way it was back in the day. All of those stores, all of those businesses are gone. And we talking about stores where you could buy clothes, stores, of course, bakers and fish markets and butchers and all that, whatever. We had department stores and toys, all that kind of stuff around the way. So people who are old enough to remember that will tell you, like, yeah, I grew up in this beauty, blah, 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 blah. But then the crime started coming. You know how it go. The crime started coming. So the perspective started to be a lot different. When the crime started coming, when the violence started happening, and when the killing started, well, the houses still beautiful. The streets look great, but there's blood spilled on these streets. There's a greater police presence in these streets. White flight, all crazy. Now white people are coming back to the hood. And the projects were around the corner. When they built the projects around the corner, let me see what year they built the projects. Let's see. Let's see. Wow. Well. Okay. Of the 10 projects designed and built between 1949 and 1955, only the 120 unit Queen Lane in Germantown loomed as a solitary 16-story elevator building, uncomplimented by adjoining row house. Groundbreaking took place in 1953, and tenants began to occupy the building in 1955. Well. So that's 1955, way before I was born. That was 15 years before I was born. So I would imagine that the changes that I'm talking about started to take place well before I was born. Now, well, anyway, the bottom line is this. The old heads who remember what the hood looked like and what the hood consisted of before will have a totally different perspective than the cats who are being born now, or the ones, or like, let's say the 80s babies, and definitely the 90s babies and 2000s that tell you, like, ain't nothing special about living around here. It's dangerous around here. I've lost my friends around here. Like my nephew, he lost more friends through gun violence, and you just wouldn't look at it that way. You wouldn't look at it that way if you came around the way. It just doesn't look like a place where that stuff is going on, but it is, and it was. So you have to acknowledge it. So the people who moved out of our hood back in the day, what would they say about it? What would the people say about it now? And I'm only using my hood as an example because it's a very interesting example. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. Where you grew up, y'all may have grew up in your respective hoods, and it's funny because before NWA came out, these West Coast cats, we didn't call it the hood. That's not how we talk. It was around the way. I still like around the way better than the hood. You know what I mean? But yeah, around the way was around the way. That's why like LL Cool J, he made Round the Way Girl. He ain't say girl from the hood. We ain't talk like that. We just did. We ain't talk like that. The internet has opened up our vocabulary as far as our slangs and expressions are concerned. But yeah, so I'm sure some people who grew up right around my way will tell you, like, well, I grew up in the project, so I grew up poor. I couldn't wait to get out of the hood. I couldn't wait to have a home of my own. I couldn't wait to live like the other people who lived across the street and around the corner from the projects lived. I couldn't wait to get out of that closed in small space. I couldn't wait to get away from that crime and all of that ignorance and all of that that misguided miseducation and stuff like that. I'm sure that their story might be a lot different, and their experiences might be a lot different, and their perspective might be a lot different than mine. And that's not to say that everybody who grew up in the projects looks at the projects as a negative thing. Most people I know, they grew up in the PJs, in the Jets. They tell you, man, I'm proud of living in the Jets. One thing about the Jets, you learn a lot about yourself. You learn a lot about people, and you learn a lot about how the government works and how this, that, and the, but there, some people make growing up in the Jets seem like the greatest experience that you could have ever had, coming from nothing and rising up to be something. I personally think that a lot of times they forget about the people who got stuck in the hood. But because even the people that got stuck in the hood were their friends, were their family, were their neighbors, were their the other people around the way who live there. They see the positivity in it. So whether you left or whether you stayed, you can see how it was a good thing and not such a good thing. Shit, projects be having things like Project Day, reunions. They be having class reunions. I'm like, how do you have a class reunion for a building that wasn't a school? Well, they be having it. As a matter of fact, I'm a honorary member of West Lawn Projects in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Every year, my cousins be asking, "Yo, you coming up for West Lawn Day?" And my cousins who didn't live in the projects, they go to West Lawn. They go to West Lawn Day every year. Matter of fact, I didn't get an invitation this year or last year, as I remember. Let me find out that COVID done fucked up West Lawn Projects Day. But yeah, people come back to the projects who may have moved out of there, and they that's their way. They lived around there, or my grandmother lived in West Lawn Projects, so that's how our connection to West Lawn came, because she lived there for years and years, and I think she moved there in 1978, and she passed in 2001. So we talking about more than 2 decades of interaction in there. And it's funny because I stayed in those projects when I went to Milwaukee, and I never felt unsafe there. I didn't even know that those were projects because it wasn't a building. I didn't know that the projects wasn't a building. I was like, you live in a project, you live in a building. It gotta have stories. Like, they projects have basements. In Philadelphia, there ain't no projects with no basements. That shit built on a slab. Even the homes, it's built on a slab. So yeah, I was like, they can't be projects. They got a basement, a full basement. A full basement. It was the projects. So I'm an honorary West Lawn Project member. And I ain't gonna front. I've been meaning to get up there to go to that day. Shit, I like hot dogs and hamburgers as much as anybody else. You know what I'm saying? If you've ever been to Milwaukee, all they do is drink and smoke, drink and get high. That's how it goes. All that cold weather make you have to drink a little bit, get high a little something, and fuck. Anyway, many people who grew up in the projects have this really, really rosy view of what the projects were. Meanwhile, people who didn't grow up in the projects looking at them like, hey man, hood love is the real love. You know what I mean? Hood love is real love. I get it. I do totally get it. But it's a different it's a different perspective. I'm sure other people who made it out of the projects are so glad to have made it out of the projects. Some people who moved out of the projects, I'm sure, never wanted to go back to the projects. They may have been rape in the projects. There may have been incest in the projects. The projects may have been where you lost your brother, where your sister got killed, where your grandmother got hurt or died, and y'all got kicked out of the projects because that was Big Mama house. That was Big Mama apartment. And y'all couldn't transfer it over. You know what I mean? That kind of shit. So they're going to be different perspectives. But I'm interested in hearing y'all perspective. Where you grew up, how do you feel about it? Some people don't have no neighborhood. Some people moved so much that they just got to be like, I'm from Philly or I'm from New York. You know what I mean? I got 100 guns, 100 clips. Yeah, I'm from New York, New York. Shout out to Ja Rule. Shout out to that no good that no good damn. I'm having problems with celebrities' names this morning. You know, her and Jay-Z made that terrible New York record. That terrible New York record that they kept playing in the 2009 World Series when the Yankees was playing the Phillies. They kept playing that awful song. Awful. What's her name? She played Alicia Keys. Yeah, thank you. TK, Wright, and Emily. Appreciate it. I see Cherry Dana Dane has stepped up. It's Cinderella Dana Dane. Well, it's the woman Dana Dane with famous Cinderella Dana Dane. Well, it's the woman Dana Dane with famous. What's going on, Dana Dane? Good to see me some YOU. A-E-I-O-U. And sometimes why? Definitely one of my favorite songs of all time. But yeah, man. So same hood, different view. What makes people who grew up around the same way see the same way in a different way? What makes some feel so loyal to the hood to the point where they want to give back, where they may get politically involved, where they want to make sure that that people from that neighborhood hold their heads high and want to represent that for the rest of their lives. You know, even, you know, like I said, get politically involved and go get funding to build things in the hood, to rebuild, to make sure that this is a place, this is a progressive place, a place where anybody would want to live. What makes some people feel that way, where other people like, man, yeah, I grew up there, but I ain't that it don't live in me. What does it? What does it, y'all? Holler at me. If y'all would like to call into the show, I invite y'all to call in, and the number to call is area code 319-527-6199. That's the number to call us at 319-527-6199. Yes, y'all said 319-527-6199. Yeah, get on the line. I said 319-527-6199. Yeah, get your shine, baby. 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 319-527-6199, baby. Urban Therapy with Sun Show, baby. Press number 1, and that will let me know that you would like to speak, and then I will call you out by the last 4 digits of your telephone number, and you can rock on it, do the damn, do the damn thing. Urban Therapy with Sun Show. Same hood, different view. What makes one person view the hood or wherever they grew up as a show place, a get up and go place, and makes others look at it like the worst place in the world, like it's Iraq, Afghanistan, Beirut, or warzone, like World War II, and it was Berlin, and I would do anything to get away from it. What does it? One of the things that I would definitely point to before anything else is I would point to your parental upbringing. In all things in your life, I know for me, I can't help taking it back to the way that you were raised, because the things that you're exposed to at a young age shape so much of your perspective for good reason. The things that you learn are absolutely going to be the things that help to shape your perspective or shape your your opinion of things. They're going to be the things that allow you to look through rose-colored glasses, or look through what's the opposite of rose-colored glasses? Weed. Cover glass. Well, I don't want to offend people who smoke weed. It's so hard to offend them these days. But anyway, ain't nothing wrong with people who smoke weed. Don't get me wrong. There's something wrong with people who smoke too much goddamn weed. Shout out, speaking of weed, or speaking of smoking, shout out to the white boys that gave me lung cancer Thursday night when I went to the Eagles game. Yes, y'all, I am afflicted with lung cancer, but I'm going to be the first lung cancer survivor that knew exactly where I got lung cancer. I know for a fact. Listen, when I go to Eagles games, y'all know I have season tickets, but I don't sit in the stands these days because they're not. Listen, they're supposed to be wearing masks, even though it's an outdoor stadium. People ain't wearing no masks, so I'm like, man, I'm not sitting next to these. I feel like I'm in a super spreader event, and I'm not with it. I mean, I've gone this far without getting COVID, and I'm trying to go much farther. So I said I'm going to go to the standing room section. I'm just going to sit here on these steps leading to the seats, and I can see the whole game. I can see the whole field from there. But then these white, that's what people be smoking. And I was next to these smokers, and they just one after another. Why do people have to smoke so damn much? They finish one, they light up another. I'm there like, I only stayed there till halftime, but they killing me. They killed me. I know I got lung cancer. But I figure I can go to chemo right now. I can start chemo right now, and chemo will actually work for me because I probably only have like about 2 or 3 cancer cells. So I could be the first person to catch cancer so early that I could probably drink this and get rid of it. But I know, ever since then, my breathing been funny. So I know those white boys gave me the cancer. I can't say whether they did it on purpose or not. But they gave me lung cancer. But I'm gonna beat this thing because I caught it so early. That shit too hot. I don't know what I think I'm gonna drink, but it ain't gonna be that. Not yet. Let me see. Nar says due to outsourcing in the end of the industrial age, Akron is no longer the rubber capital of the world. Man, the Midwest used to be the producer of all things in the world. Ohio had it going on so much. Michigan, we all know about Michigan in the auto industry. Indiana, Wisconsin, Illinois. Like, yo, that's what Trump should have been talking about when he said, I want to make America great again. But socially and politically, it's never been great. And that's the big problem. So he really just wanted to bring back white control. And I'm like, what you mean? You never lost that, nigga. Really, I don't even think it was white control. I think it was more like white pride. Anyway, so I can relate to your feelings about Akron, Ohio, Akron. I'm talking about some Akron. I'm sorry, my brother. I'm sorry. No disrespect. Akron. When jobs leave, people leave. As easy as that. When jobs leave, people leave. So the face of the neighborhood, the face of the community changes. It'll go from working class, the Well, you know what comes along with poverty or not being able to make a living. Somehow, soon as there are no places to work or be able to take care of yourself, all of a sudden the drugs come in. All of a sudden the lack of education comes in. All of a sudden the violence comes in. I don't understand it, but it's so consistent. As soon as the means of making a living, as soon as the means of survival disappear, so does all of the good things that come along with it. Make sure y'all hit that like button, y'all. Make sure that y'all share the show. Make sure that y'all subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet. Appreciate it. Cherry Dana Dane says, I grew up in Germantown, the section called the Hollow. So we grew up around the corner from each other, essentially. Mostly homeowners, which is a different type of energy. Yeah, and the homes down the Hollow are big homes. You have you know down around Happy Hollow. You want to talk about a beautiful working class neighborhood? Nothing but a bunch of trees. Happy Hollow is a playground surrounded by a park. Happy Hollow is a playground surrounded by a park, and the park, you have an upper area that leads to Pulaski Avenue. So you keep going up Pulaski Avenue, past Pulaski Avenue, and then you'll get to Fern Hill Park. The crazy part about it is people who live in Fern Hill and people who live in the Hollow are not the same. Yo, if you can fathom, Philly is crazy. You live 3 blocks from each other, but y'all not in the same neighborhood. Yeah. Fern Hill and Happy Hollow. How? Because if you go 3 blocks the other way, in the opposite direction from Wayne Avenue, now you in Brickyard. 3 blocks. I'm talking about 2 traffic lights. Now you're in Brickyard. You keep going another 3 blocks from like Germantown and Worcester. Now you're getting towards Somerville. That's how it go. But yeah, so in Happy Hollow, like Dana Dane is talking about, nice homes. Like they got garages. They got garages in the houses. They got alleyways and garages in the houses in down the Hollow. They don't have shit. We don't have no garage and driveways or alleyways in Pulaski Town. It's 3 blocks over the other way, going north. I don't know. But big houses, whether they 2-story or 3-story, they have some mansion like houses down the Hollow and in it's all Germantown, but it's an interesting place because one thing that Happy Hollow section is known for is violence. You know what I mean? People have lost their lives in that motherfucker, in that playground. That very playground where they played basketball, where they went in the in the rec center over there, you know, kill. Shit, Dana, you remember how notorious the Hollow was at USA Skates back in the late 80s. The Hollow, known for rumbling. You couldn't, this shit was, Meanwhile, you go around their way, you be like, this where y'all come from? Y'all come from parents where they have jobs. Yeah. Jobs. Jobs and guns. That's kind of like jobs, guns, bats, chains, knives, fists, boots. Anyway, let's keep it moving. Veronica Freeman, what's going on? Oh, Veronica. Oh, Veronica, girl. And she grew up in the Hollow too? She said, I grew up in the Hollow. Also, Cherry, good memories. Well. Wait, how y'all grew up in? Well, did y'all go to Kelly? Did y'all go to John B. Kelly? Or are you older? Were you with the Fiddler? Did y'all go to Pickett? Or were y'all one of those smart kids and with the Masterman? You know what y'all? You know y'all finished going to Kelly with the Master, yeah. Or out Wilson, the Northeast. You know, my man with the Fox Chase. You know, we start busing kids out. We didn't call it busing though, because we ain't catch no bus. Mom had to drive us out there. Anyway, all right. T. Carey Wright says, Veronica, you went to Kelly first and second grade? See, I can't see your picture on here. I'm like, depending on you, like I ain't no way I know you. Ain't no way. Veronica Freeman. You got another last name? Stop, man. Ironically, I only went to Kelly first and second grade. Kindergarten, but I went to kindergarten too. TK Wright says, people view hood love as real love because it's not as superficial as when you have had the chance to acquire houses, cars, and money. The funny thing is, in some hoods, you acquire houses, cars, and money. Like, you know, my parents worked. My dad owned businesses. So we had a couple of dollars. We wasn't broke like that. We wasn't rich, but we was definitely middle class on the good end in the 70s and 80s. No, 70s. The bottom fell out of the floor at 1980. I was pissed. Anyway. Oh, Veronica, like, it's me, Ronnie, or Marshish. Oh yeah, your name did used to be. Wait a minute, what's your name, Freeman? What was that your first last name? You get married? Veronica, I knew Veronica since first grade. And this is how I know Veronica. This shit is fucking crazy. In second grade, I was in room 202, Miss Williams. And my dad got me and my older sister, speed reading lessons. Remember, speed reading was all the rage in the late 70s. So I got good at it. I got good at the speed reading. And so I outperformed the reading class in my class. So I had to go to an advanced reading class. And it's hard to explain, but the way John B. Kelly was set up was like you had this big round area that had all of these different classes in it. And then outside of it, you had this, by the way, the building is shaped round. So outside of that round open area where you had all of these classrooms sectioned off, I guess by partition or something like that, then you had the classrooms that were in the hallways. So I had to cross the hallway and go over into that circle area where the advanced reading class was. And guess who was in the advanced reading class? Veronica. Little light-skinned girl. You know what I'm saying? Lived over on, what was it, Abbotsford, and lived in the apartments. And my man who lived across the street from me was in that class too, David Forrest. He lived right across the street from me. He wasn't really my man then. He was just a kid who lived across the street from me. We got cool later on. So anyway, yeah, that's how I know Veronica Freeman. That's her real last name. Anyway, wait a minute, Veronica, you just messed up my story because I was just saying how the Hollow and Fern Hill wasn't the same thing. I'm not sure you grew up in the Hollow because you grew up across Pulaski Avenue. The Hollow was after Pulaski Avenue. Once you started going down that hill, you got to the Hollow. Anything across the street from that hill, but all right, I'll let you know. I get it. It's all good. It's all good. You know, it's all, you know. But remember, Fern Hill used to have the fair that came every fall. You know what I'm saying? A little carnival joint. You know, so. I lived on Hansberry Street first, Knox Street, then Fern Hill Road. Ah. It don't get more Germantown than that. First on Hansberry Street. Now, Hansberry Street is right around the corner from me. So depending on which part of Hansberry. Okay, I got you. But yeah, so the perspective of that section that we lived in is you're gonna have so many different opinions. Because like I said, you know, Happy Hollow, when you look at if you look at the neighborhood cosmetically, you're gonna see all these big ass mansion like houses. And it was an integrated neighborhood. It was mostly black at the time, but there was still white people scattered in the bigger houses. So you like people be getting shot and killed around here? They do. But you just wouldn't look at it like that. You know, it's same hood, different view. You know what I mean? Shout out to David and Mary's. You know, y'all remember the store over there on Wayne Avenue? Shout out to David and Mary's and shit. We going back. We going way back. So I'm using my government. Okay, all right. All right. All right. Cherry says, when I was 8, 9, and 10, I lived at 333 West Abbotsford, right off of Pulaski. All right. Well, there you have it. So you lived on the 300 block. Yep, that's the Hollow, all right. Because you going down that hill. Well, wait a minute. Because I lived on the 400 block of Bringhurst Street. So the 300 block, I don't know. Sound like you grew up in Fern Hill. I don't know, Dana Dane. I don't know, Dana. Fern Hill. But it's all good. Love is love. Veronica says, way back, still talk to their daughter Nova. She lives in Florida. Okay. That's what's up. So yeah, man, you know, like whether you grew up in a house or apartment, whether you grew up in the projects or a home, whether you owned, whether you rented or whatever, so much of your perspective of life, and especially the life that you lived growing up, which is the foundation, is going to come from your parental upbringing. So much is going to depend on that, because when you think about it, think about how you grew up versus think about your household and what went on in your household versus when you went over your friend's house. to just kick it, chill, do homework, spend the night, whatever. Think about your cousins and other family members, whatever. When you was growing up. Think about this. Whatever schools you go to, from age newborn all the way up to 12th grade, your parents decide that shit. Yeah, maybe when you go to high school, you decide you choose what's high school. But every child didn't get a chance. Every teenager didn't get a chance to choose what high school they went to, which would explain why some kids spent years, or should I say grades 1 through 12 in Catholic school. Their parents wasn't having it. Like, nah, you ain't going to no public school. You ain't get no public school education around here. We ain't putting up with you having to. I ain't going up to your school because you got suspended for fighting or getting in some dumb shit or somebody touching you and blah 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 blah. And parents who send their kids to Catholic school, you can't tell them nothing good about no public school. You can't tell them shit good about no public school. Tell me I'm lying. I be listening to people like, there's some people who graduate from public school go on to, I don't know, have children of their own and graduate and go to college, get jobs, but hold political office, have careers, travel the world, make their stamp with I'm going to, especially black parents, they not fucking having it. Because another thing about us, black people, when you can send your kids to Catholic school, that means you got a couple of dollars too. That's what it's supposed to mean. I knew people who lived in the projects that went to Catholic school though, because if you was Catholic, they would give you all kinds of discounts. So it ain't like nowadays. You gonna have to pay for that Catholic school, but because those priests fucked up so much shit with all those sexual assault allegations and rape and incest, not incest, pedophilia and all of that kind of stuff, Catholic schools are damn near extinct. Damn near. There used to be a Catholic school for everybody around the way. Tell me I'm lying. Veronica, you know what I'm talking about. Just around our neighborhood, you had Saint Stephen's, you had Saint Therese, you had Saint Francis, you had Saint Barnabas. I went to Saint Barnabas 3rd and 4th grade, but even though that was an Episcopal school, all I know is they had mass. And I don't give a shit whether you are Catholic or Protestant. You chew on that flatbread, and you and the pastor of the church is called a priest. I don't care whether he married or not married. Look, their whole doctrine, shit. When the Pope came to town, it was a big deal, for the Episcopal church. So I'm like, how y'all not Catholic? Because the priest can get married. I'm like, well, you do know that Catholic priests used to be able to get married too, until they started fucking up the money. It's all about money. Nonetheless, your parents decide what schools you go to, so they decide your formal education. They decide how your level of formal education is going to start out. This is bigger than your A's and B's. We're talking about your exposure. So if you went to a school that was big on field trips and cultural diversity and a well-rounded educational, not agenda, curriculum, yeah, you're going to get that. So, and subjects like math, look, the general math, the integers, the everything in math is always the same. whether you learn it or not. But when you start getting into English, when you start getting into social studies, aka history, when you start getting into the other liberal arts classes, your foundation is going to decide, is going to have a big impact on how you see the world. So when we talk about two people who grew up in the same hood, but they didn't go to the same school, so they didn't learn the same shit because they weren't around the same students and weren't taught by the same teachers. So they didn't have the same experiences. So they're going to look at, there's a good chance that they may look at the world and the hood that they grew up and came from a totally different perspective. I get offended when people from around my way talking about how good free cheese was back in the 80s. I'm like, how the fuck was free cheese good? First of all, it wasn't sliced. That's first of all. First off, it wasn't sliced. And it was hard to cut that cheese it was hard to cut. Listen, I wasn't one of those grilled cheese eating ass niggas. I ain't like grilled cheese back then, and I don't like it today. You know why? Because to me, grilled cheese was something like cheap pizza. And no, I never liked pizza from the school cafeteria. I was like, that's not pizza. That shit don't taste right. But anyway, shout out to the people who had good jobs that still stood the cheese line. You know, niggas that take anything free. What's yours is yours, what's mine is mine. I saw your mama in the cheese line, standing on line with a big behind, one of the loudest ass joints around the way you can find. I see her, and it did occur to me that if I get with her, it's going to be a blood, and she ain't going to see nothing the same because I'm about to kick that game. You know my name, Anyway, so your parents lay down your educational foundation. Make sure y'all hit that like button, y'all. Make sure y'all share the show. Make sure that y'all subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet. Let me see what y'all talk about. All right. Veronica says David and Mary's daughter. Huh. Oh, that's what you was talking about. Okay. St. Francis. Okay. Did you go to St. Francis first? My next door neighbor went to St. Francis. Her and her sister, they went to St. Francis only for a little while, though. Now, here's some weird shit. They took them out of Kelly, put them in St. Francis, and then went to Pickett. Who the fuck does that? But see, this is the kind of shit you see in the hood. It could have been the money. Like, look, we was doing good. We could send you to St. Francis, you know what I mean, for a couple of years or whatever. The money start getting tight. All right, you gotta go to Pickett. You want to go to Pickett anyway. Everybody, all your friends from around the way, they go to Pickett. All right, you go to Pickett. That's what happened. And same thing happened with me. Went to Kelly, then St. Barnabas, then to Pickett. But I wanted to go to Pickett. My parents was looking at me like, are you fucking crazy? But they was on the edge of divorce anyway. So they was like, you want to go to public school? You go to public school. David stayed in St. Barnabas. I actually came to St. Barnabas before David did. David came in 4th grade. I came in 3rd. I was like, yo, you following me? But I knew he was smart because he was in that advanced reading class with him and Veronica was at. All right. Oh, you went to St. Madeline's. St. Madeline's. What was St. Madeline's? 3 to 7. Oh, St. Madeline's, Sophie. St. Madeline's, Sophie. Oh, over on Green Street. Yeah. I said St. Therese. That wasn't around our way. St. Therese was over in Mount Airy. I meant St. Madeline's. That's what I meant. My bad. Okay. You said went to the YWCA for everything. The YWCA. Not the YMCA. Shout out to people who remember when there was a YWCA. YWCA had a better pool to me than the YMCA. Yeah, the YMCA pool was more of an Olympic size pool, but the YWCA seemed like an outdoor pool that was inside. It was kind of fly. It was kind of dope. I went to the YWCA for everything. Free library, after school activities, summer camp at Fern Hill, ballet on the Ave, Girl Scouts. I love Germantown. So many experiences and culture. You know, you went to mass there and had family weddings there. Okay. All right. Norris Hill says 2 to 3 years ago, somebody I grew up in church with was killed along with her son in front of her young daughter. Oh man. The house is on the same block with as a church. Wow. Okay. Wow. Yeah. That type shit. You know, when people from around your way, when you have to, you know, I tell you one thing, I don't like having to explain to people basically what I'm explaining to y'all. I don't mind explaining to y'all because I'm not explaining. I'm basically painting a picture. I'm illustrating more than anything else. But trying to let people know, like, no, I grew up in a nice neighborhood. It just happened to be a Philly type neighborhood, which means that there's going to be some crime. There's going to be some violence. There's going to be some misunderstandings. There's going to be a whole lot. There's going to be some hate. There's going to be a whole lot of crazy shit. There's going to be things that happen all the time that'll have you scratching your head and wondering, well, how the hell or why the hell would this happen in this manner? Well, what's going on? There are going to be some things that people just don't know. Or that people outside of that area or outside of the hood just won't know. But there also are going to be things that people who lived in the neighborhood just don't understand, that'll have them, you know, scratching their head. Yep. St. Madeline Sophie. Yeah, when we talk about same hood, different perspective, or should I say different view, you know, so much of your parental upbringing is going to determine your outlook and your perspective about where you come from. So although we grew up on the same block, we don't see the block the same. We may have grown up in a similar style house, but we don't look at that from the same set of eyes. You know, my allergies was bothering me yesterday, and they bother me today. I'm gonna hit the store today. I'm a Allegra D. This shit about me. This is irking me. She like, man, fuck that. I'm chilling. You go shake that bag of treats, and we'll have a closer talk. Wow. So the school that you went to is a clown academy now? St. Madeline's, LOL. Seems fitting. True. We all have different perspectives. Yeah. And, you know, the books that you read, you know, the things that you're exposed to, like, it could be simple things, man. Like, I grew up in a 2-parent family. Other people who didn't grow up in a two-parent family didn't have some of the experiences that I had. Like, whereas even when my parents broke up, my dad would come and get me for certain things. So I remember when I started getting into wrestling. I like professional wrestling in WWF back in the day. So I would ask my dad to take me to the wrestling matches, and he didn't like wrestling. He thought it was entertaining, but he could see how fake it was and all that. But he also saw how much I liked it. So he's like, all right, my young boy, when he liked to go see wrestling. So 12 years old, I'm calling him like, Dad, wrestling is on Saturday. Can you take me? Blah blah. He would take me. He took me to about 3 matches. Now they came like almost every month, but he had 3 good ones in him. And then he told me, he was like, listen, I'm not coming to these matches no more. He just like, I wasn't mad at him because I was looking at I looked at it like this wrestling thing is my thing. It ain't his thing. But I was thankful that he took me to the games. So, to the matches. But the bottom line is where he would come and get me and expose me to things that I wanted to do and that I never even thought of. Of course, my perspective of life was different than somebody who never had their dad come around or didn't know who their father was or whose father had passed before they became of age or whatever. So it's going to be different because where I had that influence right there at home and to come to me when he wasn't in the home anymore. So my perspective of my old heads around the way and the things that they tell me, whether I would believe what they said or be influenced by what they did, is going to be different. There were hustlers around the way and thieves and violent motherfuckers and all of that shit. And I was never impressed or influenced by them around the way. Other people were, though. That's all they had. Those are the only influences that they had. So whereas I may not have been able to understand why they would follow behind somebody like that, they may have been looking at me like, I don't see how you can't or why you wouldn't. Same hood, different view. Whereas I never had to share a bedroom. Other people who grew up in bigger families and smaller spaces, they don't know what it's like not to share a bedroom. So where I have no problem sleeping alone, even to this day, other people they ain't trying to sleep with the light off, without the TV on. Y'all know I'll be clowning people that's scared of the dark. But hey, it's real shit. Let me see. Cherry says, I went to Fern Hill summer camp. I loved it until somebody tried to touch my behind in the pool. Tennis lessons. Germantown was about exposure. Somebody tried to touch your butt in the pool. Wow. And that ruined your summer camp there? I stop like I'll just and listen. Yeah. So where you were offended when somebody tried to touch your butt in the pool and possibly a little traumatized, there might have been your other girlfriends around the way that was too busy playing catch a girl, get a girl, which was personally my favorite game. I think that we have gotten away from some of the really great games that we used to play. I mean, with all of this freak shit that us so-called adults are exposed to, why hasn't anybody come out with an adult catch a girl, get a girl game? You know, where girls could pretend like they was running fast when they wasn't, you know, when they wanted to get caught by a certain boy. Stop. 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 Oh, he got me. What am I going to have to do? I'm not doing nothing nasty this time. And it's funny, man, because as nasty as we might have been around the way when we was coming up, we had to have gotten that from somebody. Nowadays, we would definitely be on blast from wherever we got it from. Back then, we didn't think about it. Same hood, different view. Like me watching Cherry talk about being traumatized about somebody trying to touch her behind in summer camp at Fernhill camp. Thinking like, wow. You know what I mean? I had girls put my hand on their butt. Here. Listen, Nars, if you know what I'm talking about, holla at me. There was nothing. There's no memory like a girl putting your hand on her titties that ain't there yet as a child. Here, you can feel my... Look, I got little ones. All right. Okay. There's nothing. There's no feeling in the world of being appreciated like when a girl lets you feel her titties that haven't grown yet. They still them little knots, or maybe not. Like we was nasty little horny kids around my way. Shout out to my next door neighbors, Shari and Chrissy. Yeah, I'm naming names today. You know, we turned out to be the best of friends. But we were doing all kinds of shit we had no business doing. That's what happens when you leave little kids alone to their own devices just because they're young and innocent. We wasn't innocent. We was too busy looking through peepholes and we saw some shit we had no business seeing. And let's just say we were great actors. Okay. Veronica says, catch a girl, get a girl. And Kelly, you played that. Okay. All right. I'm going to just put this out there. Cherry and Veronica both grew up the same in around the same way, right? And they both light skinned. Therefore, all girls who grew up around that way are light skinned. See how that works? Now prove me wrong. We have two girls who grew up right around the same way, both red bones. Everybody who grew up around their way, all the girls are red bones. That was the red bone section of Philly. Germantown in particular. What? 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 Okay. So it says we played hide and go get it. It's the game. Well, no, it's not the same. Because Catch a Girl, Get a Girl was no hiding. It was just like, how did we start the game off? Did we count? Because everything was about the count. You know, you doggy say it or whatever. How did you start out? I don't know. It was just some running. You know, you get a freak. So when you catch up to the girl, you just like dry hump her or something like that. That was your get. Can you imagine what that shit has led to these days? I bet you in all of the prison systems where you have these sexual assailants, have any of them, what should I say, has any of them said, well, it all goes back to when I played Catch a Girl, Get a Girl when I was like 8. I knew then that I would catch him and get him unauthorized. Technically, if you want to be negative, Catch a Girl, Get a Girl was authorized sexual assault. Consensual rape. You know what I mean? What time is it? I'm gonna have to get the fuck up out of here. Y'all know the longer it goes, the worse it gets with me. Y'all know how it goes. All right. Anyway. Yeah. Same hood, different view. The house that you grew up with, the parents that you were raised by, any siblings that you had, cousins, aunts, uncles, grandparents, the nuclear family and the extended family. They all played a part in your perspective of how you grew up and where you grew up. So taking that into account, it shouldn't be all that surprising that you're gonna have two people who came from the same area who see things totally different. One person is cheering the hood on, and the other person is pointing out all of the negative aspects of the hood, all the negative characteristics. It happens. And neither one of them are going to be 100% wrong. They're just markedly different. I can't even say 100% different. They're not 100% different. They see their experiences through different sets of eyes because they haven't learned the same things or done the same things. And that's not to say that one is smarter than the other or anything like that, because it really doesn't have anything to do with that. It doesn't have anything to do with that. Your perspective is based on your experience. You know, we've talked about brainwashing on this show in previous episodes. All brainwashing ain't bad when you really break down what brainwashing is. Brainwashing is like a cleansing of a clearing away of your perspectives and thoughts from wherever it was, and a rebuilding, retooling, restructuring to where someone or something wants it to go. So you can have positive brainwashing too, whereas you may have grown up thinking that living on your impulses was the thing to do or the way to be, or being violent, handling all of your adversities with violence was a good way to be, with being hyper masculine was the way to be, or being over sexualized was the way to be, or like it was okay, or where being rude and obnoxious and being totally disregarding of other people's feelings and perspectives was okay. What's wrong with brainwashing that? What's wrong with cleaning that slate? It's the same thing. It involves the same thing. Time, effort, different perspectives, washing, rinsing, repeating, following through, checking up, giving tests, quizzes, exams. It all involves the same ingredients. It just goes in a different direction. There is a such thing as good brainwashing. Has it been practiced on you? Have you practiced it with other people? Probably not. Or maybe this may be the first time that you ever thought about it this way. Well, good for us. But yeah, it is there's a lot to this same hood, different view conversation. A lot more than you may see on the surface. Take it back to high school. You think when you think about your high school experience, were you one of those people who may say to this day, yo, I wish I could go back to high school. I didn't have a worry in the world. I didn't have a care in the world. All I did was hang out with my friends. We had to do our work. The work was easy because I was smart and blah, 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 blah. There are plenty of people I know who still live on their high school experiences. And I especially saw that when Facebook came out, not necessarily, I can't just say social media, because it wasn't like that on Black Planet. It definitely wasn't like that on MySpace. But once you started to come to Facebook and you started to see groups and shit, and everybody had to use their first name, their real name, their government name, you started to see a difference. You started to see people getting in touch with people they hadn't been in touch with since grade school, since middle school, since high school, since college, since their first job, since back in Glen Mills and Lafayette and Slayton Farms, since before, whatever, Job Corps. And now they're able to get back in contact with each other. And you saw people start to click up, and you got a bird's eye view of people's best years of their lives. And it might have been high school. Meanwhile, you may have been the type of person that didn't like high school, didn't like what high school, how restrictive and limited the encouragement to think outside of the box
90 seconds
your peers may have bestowed upon you in high school. Like, I was pretty popular in high school, but I didn't like it. But that's me. I ain't like no school. All I ever wanted to do was come home when it came to school. So if I had to do my schoolwork in order to make that happen, I did it. But it wasn't because, I was terrorized or teased or bullied or none of that type of shit.
60 seconds.
I just listen. My view of my teenage years was like, what if I want to come home at midnight, 11 o'clock or whatever? And I didn't really have to. My mom was real. I was afforded a lot of rope as a teenager because I was trustworthy. I didn't get into shit. So it allowed me to get away with a whole lot of shit and get into a lot of shit and get exposed to a lot of shit that a lot of my friends hadn't been a part of without having to sneak. Like going to the after midnight, the first after midnight, underground throwdown.
10 seconds.
At age 16, looking like I was 12 or 13. Anyway. Whereas some people's best years may have been in high school was because, they didn't have that responsibility and stuff like that. Whereas I saw being in high school as nothing but responsibility and insecurity. Especially you headed towards college and all of that. So everything that you're doing involves papers, pens, books, peers, teachers, desks, exams, midterms, finals, all that kind of stuff. So the people who were super popular in high school, the cuties, the handsome boys, the fly guys, the fly girls, all that old shit, you see how they would love to go back to those times because those were their superstar years. It almost seems unfair because from their perspective, everything went down from there. Whereas other people who may not have been as popular in high school or didn't get the things that they really needed there went up. Some of them, not all of them. Some people basically went the straight line the whole time through, their whole lives through. All right, we about to get on up out of here. North says, I missed the annual Easter talent show at the local theater where teenagers from different neighborhoods would sing and dance. Yeah, that sounds pretty dope. That's one thing that we had a lot. We had a lot of extracurricular activities. There were a lot of things a lot of programs that were available when we were growing up in the 70s and 80s to keep a child on the right, to get a child on the right track and to keep them there. That's one of the things that I don't see as much. I mean, we still sing and dance and rap and show our talent, but it's not the same. It's not. You know, I ain't gonna bullshit you. Once we stop being given an instrument to play in schools, everything changed. You wanted to play the violin, they gave you a violin. You took that bitch home and you had to take care of it. Turn the violin back in at the end of the school year. Yeah. Whatever instruments were available. Guitars, flutes, what would they call recorders? Do anybody know the difference between a recorder and a flute? Look the same to me. Drums, even I've seen tubas being given out, trombones. You know, they took the music out of the schools. They took the art out of the schools. They took the quality of life out and replaced it with nothing but academics. They took the trades out. The way that you would make a living, your means to a financial end to be able to sustain the life cycle of you and your family. They took it out of schools. How do you justify that shit? What kind of plan is that? Then they took the schools away altogether. I don't know. Oh, these goddamn charter schools. What the fuck is a charter school? They don't even have a gym. Shout out to when we used to have to climb the rope. Shout out to everybody who made it to the top of those rafters with the rope. You know, we had to have upper body strength when I grew up. Climb the rope. The rope. You know, when you was little, looking at the top of the rafters, you know how far the ceiling used to look when you was little. Like, we gotta climb that rope. I bet you we climbed that rope. We climbed the rope with everything we had. Arms, legs, dick. You was gonna get up that bitch. You ain't trying to be the person in gym class who couldn't make it to the top of them rafters on the rope. I climbed the rope. I made it. Veronica Freeman says, you're right, Omar. I love my flute, violin, and cello lessons at Kelly. You played the cello? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. We got a whole damn violin with the case. You had to sign it out. You took them lessons after school. Some people got good at it. Shout out to all my first chair musicians out there. Shout out to y'all. I was impressed. Also says, I omitted being part of an all synthesized band with some friends. Nah, don't omit that. We're not doing that. We definitely putting that part in there. We doing that. We doing that, my brother. Right? Because hated the rope in the presidential physical exam. We did Star Wars. We did the Star Wars theme. Oh, that's what's up. Yeah, now that's an orchestra right there. That's good shit, man. I like this show today. All right. We have some birthday shout outs to do. Some people were born on this glorious October 16th, and they deserve to be acknowledged. So let's go about our business of acknowledging them and making them feel special because they are special because they are special because they are SPECIAL. They get the RESPECT. They are SPECIAL. They get the RESPECT. They are SPECIAL. They get the RESPECT. They get number one out the box. Go get him, my man England Broner. Turning 33 years old today. Happy birthday to you. And also Barry Bird Jr. Happy birthday to you. And Emmett Johnson turning 42 years old today. And Kenneth Jones turning 62 years old today. And Esther Ramirez turning 33 years old today. And Teresa Brew turning 39 years old today. And Kathy Kilson, happy birthday to you. And last but not least, my girl, Pat. Cece Miss Pat de Braganza. What if that's Miss Pat real name? Anyway, I want to say happy birthday to all of you and anyone else out there who shares this birthday on this glorious October 16th, anywhere out there in the world, worldwide, internationally, and universally. All of y'all go ahead and turn up. But don't turn up too loud. Just turn up loud enough so everybody can hear you. Rock out, rock on into the damn, the rock out, rock on into the damn, rock out, rock on into the damn thing. You do your thing, y'all. Represent the queens and kings. You do your thing, y'all. Represent the queens and kings. Good things happen to those who wait. Great things happen to those who grind. And anything can happen to those who go for theirs. So go hard, go for yours. And remember, man, listen. Same hood, different view. Same school, different curriculum. Yeah, it happens. Same parents, different experience. You know, because it can happen that way too. When, you know, one child is treated better than the other child. You know what I'm saying? It happens. It shouldn't happen, but it happens. You know what I'm saying? It happens. Nonetheless, we don't have to see the world in all of the same ways, the same perspectives. We don't have to do that. What we should do is we should communicate with each other well enough to be able to learn to appreciate each other, to respect each other, and to work with each other. Work with each other either to improve the place that we grew up in or to push along the place where we are creating for our offspring to grow up in. You know what I mean? It ain't always where you come from is where you're at. But many times, if you're still here on this earth and in this world, it's about where you're going. It's about where you're going. Life is a journey. Our people are always trying to get things over with. We always trying to complete something. But nah, we still in motion, baby. We still in motion. It's going to be all right. Everything is going to be all right. Think it won't. Listen, man. Peace to all my day ones, my everydays, and my brand news. I love y'all to death. Resuscitate y'all. I love y'all back to life. So what we going to do today? I ain't did this in a while. We're going to take y'all out of here with the one of these urban therapy with sun themes. We'll go with the original. So where I would normally cut off Blog Talk first, We're going to switch it up a little bit. We're going to switch it out a little something. All right, let's go. Yeah. So like I said, I appreciate y'all coming through. And we won't be here tomorrow because I got to work tomorrow. I got to work tomorrow morning. But we will be here on Monday night, 7 p.m. for another Daily Go Getimism show, baby. And I know I messed y'all up with the Daily Go Getimism background when it was the Urban Therapy with Sun show. Actually, I just messed up when it came to that, but it's all good, man. Love is love. So I will see y'all on Sunday, but I see a lot of y'all in the book. And we're going to get it together, y'all. So I want y'all to have a good day. The weather's supposed to be pretty nice today over here on the Eastern Seaboard, Philadelphia, respectively. So, you know, we're going to go out, have a good time. Please be safe. We're still in this pandemic. So you still got these nasty-ass disease motherfuckers going on out there. So be careful, y'all. Take care of yourselves and take care of the ones who are near you and dear to you. So we're going to get these Instagrammers out of here. Instagrammers, Five Slammer Jammer. Thanks for coming on through and let me exercise my grammar piece. And I get back. Yeah, you know that. All right. And for my YouTubers, you know how we doobers. I appreciate y'all coming through. I see y'all later, my boobers. Yeah. So I say peace.